Season 5, episode 9 of Next Level Chef has ended, but we are just getting started. Welcome to the official, unofficial Next Level Chef podcast. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever this podcast may find you. I hope that it finds you in great spirits. Welcome back, friend, and welcome if you are new to the podcast. I am your host, Honest Am of the Dear Showrunners podcast, a podcast that is all about TV, and just a little life. In this season, we will be covering Next Level Chef. Now, I typically try not to do this. I hate to be that girl, but I'm gonna have to be that girl. If you have been listening to this podcast every week and you love what you hear, please do me a favor. Go ahead and like and review this podcast. 5 stars only. This allows other people to help find the content and, let them join in the fun as well. So now that I got that little housekeeping out the way, we're going to go ahead and get right into it. These people need no introduction, but I'm going to introduce them anyway. We have our three amazing mentors, Chef Naisha Arrington, Chef Gordon Ramsay, and our returning champ, Jess Blaze or Richard Blaze. And this week, our challenge is going to be going to the pub, or as the episode says, all wells that end well. I believe. Hold on, wait. Let me see what the actual episode name is. Yeah, all's well that ends well. And this episode is all about our chefs making a dish using beer. And I just thought that it was really interesting to get into this week's challenge. Now, we know that our chefs has 40 minutes to complete a next level beer dish. So they can do beer frat, they can do beer batter, they can put it in a beer sauce, they can make a stew, whatever they want to do, but they have to incorporate the beer. They also on the platform drop have to actually pour their own beer off of the tap. So that was pretty cool. Chef Ramsay asked some of the contestants, have they ever worked at a bar before? And we were able to. Oh damn! I'm so sorry. I just dropped all of these nerds everywhere. Anyways, Chef Ramsay asked the contestants, have anybody worked at a bar before? We had Cole and Machete raise their hands, and he talked about how the skill of pouring a beer was really going to come in handy. Before we start getting into the episode, though, I thought it was really important to learn that we are officially within our top 10. Also, guys, if my energy is not as high as it normally is, I'm just tired. I am very tired. I'm coming off my birthday weekend. I'm coming off Easter weekend, and I'm just like opening day weekend. Like I'm just exhausted. So please forgive me if my energy is not normally where it needs to be. But this week we get our top 10 contestants, and it makes me wonder if in the coming weeks, well, next week or the week after that, will we break out with teams? Andy still has her pen. Andy is still going strong. Will they say within the next cook or the next two cooks can Andy won't be able to use her badge, like her pen? I'm curious to see how that will all work out. Now, before we go into the challenge, I always like to let you know what my big takeaway or what was the biggest aha moment for me in this week's episode. And the biggest takeaway that I got from this week's episode, or my aha moment, is that a quote was coming to me, and it says that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Now, I was killing it with my predictions, and I was right every week except for last week, and I kind of think it's because I love Amber so much. I don't want to skip ahead, but we learn, we really will see in this week episode those chefs who did not have a clear plan or did not have a clear vision, how that end up coming back to bite them in the end, and how one particular chef, how her lack of preparation, her lack of vision, her lack of storytelling on the plate, is ultimately what end up losing, which also ultimately led to her elimination. But we'll get there. We will get there. This week, I told you guys we were talking all about the beer challenge. In the top level kitchen, we have Chef Naisha Earring. We have those Naisha Warriors at the top. On her team, still remaining is Daniela, Connor, and Machete. Machete, when the platform dropped, the first thing that he saw was this beautiful piece of steak. And he said it just immediately reminded him, it reminded him of like his father teaching him how to cook steak. He got some onions and he's like, bam, I want to make a French onion soup. Connor, you guys, I'm like low key falling for Connor. He is so like he's just, I just love him in his confessionals. But Connor saw this chick and he's like, I'm just a plain boy. I don't like all that bougie shit. I'm like, yes, Connor, you are a man after my heart. So he ended up picking up this just some chicken breast, I mean, or chicken thighs or chicken legs, something. It was some chicken. And then Daniela saw this beautiful duck, and then they had like a cherry ale. So she said that she was going to do a duck dish. Now, our big drama with Danielle is that Danielle knew that I think for any duck dish, the sauce is very, very important. And because it is a beer challenge and she had that beer in her sauce, she really wanted to make sure that she nailed the sauce. And so as she's cooking, she's asking Naisha for help, and Naisha is saying, okay, so you want to use this pan and you want to use some sugar, and basically Naisha is guiding her and coaching her and teaching her all the steps that she's going to have to take to complete to complete her dish and to make her sauce. Not only to make her sauce, but to make sure that her sauce tastes well and it has the right consistency. Naisha was talking her through it, but y'all know how Naisha be. Naisha's like, okay, did you do this? Okay, did you do this? Is your burner on? She gets. I think I really want to know if Naisha got some military background in her. But she gets very like kind of drill sergeant-y, and Daniela was like, okay, girl, I got it. You're getting in my head, and I was like, who? Like the edit tried to make it seem like it was gonna be like this big drama. But I just love how like Naisha like didn't even blink, like she didn't flinch, she didn't move, like nothing even changed. She was just like, "That is my job. That is what I'm here for to challenge you and to push you." And we just know like Danielle is just one thing that we can learn from Danielle is that she gets into these moments of where she's like flustered or she wants to get her way, and then she lashes out at people. We saw how she did that with Emerson. We saw how she kind of did it with a couple of her teammates, and it's just, I don't know, it's just something to watch out for. But I'm glad how it really, even though the edit made it seem like it was going to be like this big drama, like Naisha said what she had to say, and basically was like, okay, do you want me to help you with your dish or not? And they moved on. And Danielle was able to come up with a pretty good dish to present to the judges. Next up, we going down into the middle level kitchen where we have those beautiful Gorton girls. We have still remaining Cole. Of course, she's going to do this halibut dish. We also have Gabrielle, who is still hanging strong. I believe she also did a fish dish. It may have been salmon or something of that nature. Andy, she got some goat, and she was really, really inspired to do this goat stew. And I really love how as soon as Andy came off of the platform, she just had this idea in mind that, okay, I'm going to do a German pancake. I'm going to put a stew on it. And she was just, you could just, the one thing that I really love about Andy and when she's cooking, like you could just see the joy. You can see the excitement coming off of her. And she was able to put together like this a really, really good dish that would just look vibrant, look hearty. It was just, I don't know, Andy is just such a smart guest to me. And I'm just so curious to just see where she goes, in this competition as well as beyond the competition. But my girl Amber, she gets this venison, and I think the problem with venison, we're going to start talking about Amber a little bit, but I think the problem with Amber is that she focuses in on making sure that she kills the protein, which you have to do because that is very important in a competition. But her problem was with this lack of like vision, this lack of planning, this lack of like really fully executing her meal. So say for example, we know last week she was trying to come up with, the ravioli, and then she ended up, the last round drop messed her up. And so instead of completing that ravioli dish or even trying to pivot, create another idea based off of her conception, she just completely forgot about like the challenge, and she just started getting into survival mode. And so Amber really teaches us that when you are operating from survival mode versus thriving, or even in defense mode or offense mode, you kind of you're not being your most creative, and you're kind of just doing what you have to do to get through to the next challenge. And I honestly think that's really what burned Amber out. Like like the last couple of cooks. And that's where, when I was watching it this week, I was like, damn, I could be a little biased because, like, the writing was on the wall for Amber. Like, she was just really having, I think Richard even made a comment a couple of times, like, I just don't know what the story is here. I don't know what she was trying to accomplish. And Amber did that a couple of times. So I would just say, like, if Next Level Chef ever do All Stars, or if Amber is ever able to come back, like, for her, I just think it's just a matter of really focusing on making a complete a dish that's recognizable, like spaghetti and meatballs, or steak and potatoes. Like, just go all the way out and make sure that you're fully executing or even creating the dish. But also remember, Amber is a home chef, so I'm just happy that she got this far, because we are in the top six. So that's Amber and Andy. And what ended up biting Amber is, again, she just did not really have a plan for her dish. She was more so just like, I got some venison, I got this pasta, which, and you can also tell when, like, Ramsay was talking to her about, okay, what is your dish going to be? What do you plan on doing? She's like, I got venison and I'm going to do this pasta dish. And he's like, pasta? Like, you could tell that he really was like, he didn't think it was a good idea. Next up, we have all the way down in the basement. Actually, I could talk about Jared and Darian. So in the basement, we have Christian, who's gonna do this corned beef, and he really does this play on a shepherd's pie. Honestly, the finished product, I wouldn't have thought that came out the dish, out the basement. But one thing that was really funny about Christian is, like, the first time he was like, can I? What's the broiler setting on here? And Chef Blaze was like, bro, you've been at the top too long. Like, there is no broiler settings in the basement. It's either on or off. And then he was like, hey, where's the torch? And it's like, you are in the basement, Christian. Like, Christian, like, really forgot about being in the basement and not really having all of those cool, gadgets and gadgets, but he still made it work anyway. With Jared, we learned that he was a home brewer. He's been home brewing for the last 15 years. So he was really, really excited about this challenge, but he's also in the basement. And one thing I love that Richard said about being in the basement is that we get what we get and we don't complain about it, right? I think that is just like a concept that we could live in, we can just take in life. I think so often when things go wrong or things don't go our way, we complain about it and we're trying to find a reason why this happened, or we're trying to find, if you're anything like me, you try to find a reason of how you messed up to get to this to happen, instead of just really taking a neutral approach and taking what you get and dealing with the cards that you have and not complaining about it, and really just looking at everything as though it is happening in your favor. And so I just love how Richard said that to his team. Like, we get what we get, we don't complain. And then I also love, as he is, as the contestants are doing those last minute pulls, he say, grab it or regret it. And I think that's also another concept that we can really take with us. I think so often, we live in this mindset of being like, oh, I'm not going to do it, or oh, maybe next time, or oh, I'm going to let that person come to me. But it's like, sometimes you got to go out there and grab an opportunity and see it all the way through, or you're going to end up regretting it in the end. And so in this competition, in the basement, we have Darian, where he grabs some chicken livers, which nobody actually wanted, and then Jared grabs some squid, which he is not familiar with cooking with. And so at first I was really like, well, what is he gonna do with the squid dish? And then it hit me like, oh, squid is just calamari. So then I was like, this is not that hard of a dish. And so Richard gave him a nice, a tutorial on how to use the squid, and Jared was able to go ahead and deep fry and beer batter the squid. One thing that I loved is that we did get like a little recipe on how to beer batter, and it's a cup of beer to 2 to 3 cups of A3 flour. So if anybody out there wants, want a beer batter this weekend, that is a recipe that we got from Chef Blaze. All right, so our mentor debate. So when we get to our challenge, when we get to the tasting, everybody really put together really good dishes. It looks, gorgeous. very vibrant. One thing that I didn't mention is that during the written round drop, we had this beer pong challenge, which I thought was really cool and very different. I loved how some of the contestants were like, "Let me look and see, what I can get," and then they actually went for the thing. So at the top level, Connor saw that it was this bone marrow in there, so he went for it. Machete just threw it anywhere, and he ended up getting some cheddar cheese. It was funny because Machete said that he has been working with that he's been doing beer pong since he was 13 years old. It was like, tell my mama, like, Machete, you a bad boy. Um, then we go we go to the middle level with the Gordon girls. All of the girls flame out except for, and I love how Cole was just like, I don't have time for this. She threw that ball, was like, okay, great, I'm going back to my dish. Like, she didn't even care that she couldn't get anything. I love how Andy actually looked over. She saw some bacon. She went for the bacon. And then in the basement, same thing. The only person that actually was able to get something from it was Darian. He looked and he saw that pomegranate molasses and was like, this would be great and it would bring my dish together. And so when we get into our mentor debate, some of the top dishes that is talked about is, of course, Connor. He has this chicken with this corn succotash that he used with the bone marrow butter. The dish was so good that Richard literally went in for seconds, which I'm like, I don't even. If I was one of the contestants, I'd be like, well, clearly we know who's going to win. Like, we know who's going to win. He went in for seconds. But Connor did that. It was like a really, really good dish. Christian, of course, I told you with the corned beef, making it into like the shepherd pie. He even had like, like he grilled his like potatoes, put some little color on there. Ramsey said, not Ramsey, Naisha said that it was really smart that he used the gochujang, trying to kind of like mask some of that salty can taste. Like, Christian is just a smart chef, so he did really well there. Andy, she did the beautiful German pancake with the goat stew. Um, Gabriella also did a halibut. What I love how she did like a pasta dish. It was very refined. She did a kind of a beer blanc, beurre blanc. That's it, a beer blanc. And she put like this little like chicken ring on top, which I thought was very very cute. It was like two ways to use the beer. And then Cole also did with her fish dish. She put like these little chips on top, which I was just like, I just think that that's just so cool. And she also made, I want to say it was like a not yuzu, but it was some type of cream sauce um where Blaze gave her a compliment where he said, a lot of these dishes are coming across very bitter, but because she used the sweetness of the corn, it really balanced her dish out very well. And so that is some of the top dishes that they really, really enjoyed. Some of the dishes that they really didn't care for as much was Amber dish. They just didn't think that it came together very well. And they also really didn't care for Darian dish. Just saying that it was just over. He put like some habanero. He from Jamaica, so he gonna put some spice in there. But he put some of that habanero in there, and I think it just made the dish overly spicy. Daniela dish was at the bottom as well. Richard said that it was missing one or two elements. But when it came down to who is going to be the winner of this competition, I really think it was between Andy and Connor. And it was so funny because Gordon was like, well, I'm the GOAT, and I guess I'm gonna have to defend the GOAT. He's like, being the GOAT that I am, I'm gonna have to defend the GOAT. Like, it was so funny, but you could tell that Gordon was really, really sad that Andy didn't take the dish. Andy was very sad that she didn't win this competition. But I really think it came down to not even that Andy didn't win, but more so like Amber has to kind of go into the elimination challenge just because she was burning out just a little bit. And so who ended up winning this competition was Connor. He did kill the dish. I personally thought that the dish was amazing. He goes awesome. Yeah, we like the Lakers when we win back to back. Talking his shit. We love it. We love to see it. But for the elimination challenge, that means that it's going to come down to those Gordon girls and those boys in blue. And who ends up going up is our girl Amber and our boy Darian. And so now, instead of us doing beer, we're going to do a bubbles challenge. And so now the chefs have to create a dish using champagne. Amber said that she was very familiar with this. She felt very comfortable with it because when they had to do that big fish, challenge, she had kind of created her beurre blanc with like a champagne sauce. So she, and that was also a fish dish. So she was really, really confident in what she was doing. Darian, he's a professional chef, and so he was just very focused. And so when it came down to it, both of our chefs completely nailed their fishes, and it just came down to like little bitty things, little elements. Amber potatoes were underdone. Darian, they said that him over seasoning the fish and then putting some caviar on top, it kind of made it a little bit too salty. I wonder if their palates are, like their palates aren't the best. So I wonder if a black person would have ate it, if it would have been perfect. I mean, because Darian dish was gorgeous. Like it was really, really gorgeous. But in the end, who we ended up losing is Amber. And it was just really, really sad to see. Personally, y'all know how I feel about Amber. I loved her. But I just, she went out with her head high, and she put forward a really, really good dish. One thing that I did want to say that we learned from Darian is just about how to cook fish. If you're ever wondering how to pan sear it, he said you just lay it there, you let it get a hard sear, you don't touch it. I think it's maybe 4 or 5 minutes, and you flip it over, let it touch it for a minute, and then pull it out so you're not overcooking the fish. So thank you, Chef. Thank you, Chef Richard and Chef Darian for those, those cooking tips because we actually love to see it. So, final thoughts of this week episode, our life advice. Our life advice is definitely coming from Amber. If you don't have a plan, if you fail to plan, if you fail to plan, let's say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. That's just something that we have to know. And it's not even about like failing, but it's just really about having a clear direction. If you don't have a clear direction or a clear, goal in mind, or, like something, yeah, a clear goal in mind, then how would you know that you're on the right track? And I think because Amber was just, maybe just a little bit overwhelmed that she didn't really plan all of those dishes out and really execute it as well as she could. Of course, our other life advice comes from Richard Blaze on that we get what we get and we don't complain. And then as well as grab it or reject it, because sometimes in life you don't get a second chance, and if there's something that you want, you have to be willing to grab it and go for it. It makes me think about when, Chef Cole, me and her was talking on Threads, and she was like, hey, I can get you in contact with some of the chefs. I can help you out. I would be interested in coming on your podcast. And, there was a part of me that was scared and that was nervous and was like, oh my God, I'm not really, am I going to be able to do this? What am I going to do? But I also saw it as an opportunity. And so I grabbed it and I just went with the flow. And that was how I was able to get the interview with you guys with Chef Kevin. And so sometimes in life, you're not going to feel totally prepared. You're not going to feel like you know exactly what to do. But you have to go forward anyway because that opportunity is in front of you. So you got to grab it or you're going to regret it. Mentor beef, no mentor beef to really report on. It was like a couple funny moments. Of course, I told y'all about when Gordon said the goat got to defend the goat. Gordon, when they first were starting the challenge, when they got to his floor, he's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I got my 4 girls. He was the only one that kept his 4 girls, and they stayed together for a long time. Like you can literally see in Chef Ramsay eyes, like he teared up. Like you can really see like he was sad to lose Amber. And she was just like, "Can I take your hand?" He's like, "Girl, give me a hug." Like I just really love that. You could just really tell that he really genuinely loves this team that he put together. And I don't know if it's because it's the girls and it's bringing out this other side of him, but this has probably been my favorite season of watching Chef Ramsay because he just, it's just like you see all sides of him. You see the fun side, you see the playful side, but then he's still Chef Ramsay. So he'll say, "Hey, get it in there, girl, get it done, get it, like he would, don't do this to me," like he was still be tough, but it's just so fun to just see all these different sides of him. So I could go on and on, but I have just been really, truly enjoying Chef Ramsay this season. And I'm sad that, I'm sad to see that he lost one of his girls. But we still have three strong, and it's still a very strong three. Andy's a very smart cook. We already know Cole. Cole said, I don't see no competition, okay? I don't see nobody stopping me. So it'll just be really fun to see how far these girls go, and if Gordon is gonna, maybe give one of those girls the opportunity to come and work in his restaurant. Like, I'm just curious to see what's gonna happen. Predictions, honestly, I just feel like we're getting to the top nine, and it is. I think when you get to the top nine, it becomes less about skill and more about who wants it. Like who wants it the most, who's gonna push themselves to become the winner of Next Level Chef. So I don't want to hate on nobody. I don't want to put anything out there. Um, I was gonna say maybe Gabby and Jared, but then Jared, he came through with that squid dish, and the chef said that it was pretty good. So I don't know. I actually don't want to make any predictions on anybody leaving, because I love these nine, and I just want to see what happens. Like, I'm just here for a good time, and a good end game. I'm curious to see. I wonder if it'll be either the next cook, or yeah, like the episode coming up, or maybe the next one that we lose the teams. Like that is gonna be the next thing that I want to look out for. Next week episode, y'all, we gonna be back. I'm gonna be back at it. Next week episode is, it says heading home on the range, and it's all about they're gonna be cooking cowboy style meals. So I don't know what that means. I don't know, when I hear cowboy, I always think about like soups and beans and shit. So I mean, it's stuff like, so I don't know what that would be, but I'm so excited to see it. I told y'all I would be a little bit late this week or last week. End up working out, y'all. I really am. Like, the signs are there that I really am the official, unofficial Next Level Chef podcast host. Because for my birthday weekend, they end up being out, but it's the holiday weekend, so I still felt like it's okay if I was late, because I told you I was gonna be late. But we'll be back to the regular schedule program next week, and I will have y'all an episode out on a Monday. I think I'm gonna try to just record Friday. That's my plan. But y'all don't need to know all that. But we have reached the end of the episode. You already know what I'm gonna say. Um, Since we have reached the end of the episode, you already know what I am going to say. Dream them dreams. Never let the internet rush you, and never, ever, ever let someone tell you what you cannot do. I am your host, Honest Am, the creator of this beautiful podcast, as well as Honestly Sis, the newsletter. If you love what you hear here, please check out www.honestlysis.com. We are starting a brand new season of newsletters. Woo! I'm so excited. I will be releasing the first newsletter of this season, and it has been a long time coming, and I'm just so excited. Like, I got a different flow. I got a different, I just love it. So if you love what you hear here, if you love being motivated, if you love learning life lessons and getting advice about emotional intelligence, please, please, please make sure you come check me out at www.honestlysis.com. Join our mailing list, because I am about to, y'all, I do this podcast and stuff, but I really do this writing shit. Like, that is what I am. I am a writer at heart. And so if you really want to see me in my best, in my glory, then make sure that you are on our mailing list, because I'm going to have newsletters. I am going to have short stories, and the podcast. I have another podcast coming out. So please make sure you follow me and all of that good stuff. Okay. All right. So we have made it to the end. You know what I'm going to say? Thank you, friend, for helping my dreams come true. Now get your ass out there and work on your own. Okay, friend. I don't care what it is. Start that business, do that website, create that vision board, do that home project. Whatever it is, you go for it, and I will see you at the top, or in the next level. Bye bye. Okay. We did